Coca-Cola is more than just a soda. It is a cultural touchstone, a symbol of American optimism and global reach that has been woven into the fabric of the nation's identity for over a century. From its humble beginnings in an Atlanta pharmacy in 1886, it grew into a worldwide phenomenon, its iconic red and white logo recognized in nearly every corner of the globe. The simple act of sharing a Coke became a universal gesture of friendship and refreshment, immortalized in advertising campaigns that captured the spirit of the times. The brand's history mirrors America's own journey through periods of prosperity, conflict and social change, making it a constant and familiar presence in the lives of generations. This beverage has long been synonymous with the American dream itself. It represents the power of a simple idea to achieve incredible success through ingenuity, marketing savvy, and a deep connection with its consumer base. Coca-Cola was there during World War II, boosting morale for soldiers far from home. It was there during the space race, a familiar taste of Earth for astronauts in orbit. Its marketing has consistently sold not just a product, but a feeling, a slice of Americana that is both nostalgic and forward-looking. The classic contoured bottle and the crisp, cold can are not just packaging, they are artifacts of American consumer culture, instantly recognizable and deeply cherished. However, in the complex economic landscape of today, even an icon like Coca-Cola is not immune to the pressures of global politics and trade policy. The very essence of its brand, accessible, affordable and ubiquitously American, is being challenged by new economic realities. Recent tariffs imposed on key materials have sent ripples through the company's vast supply chain, forcing its leadership to confront difficult decisions that pit tradition against modern-day financial imperatives. The quintessential American brand now finds itself at a crossroads, navigating a path that will test its resilience and potentially redefine its relationship with its home country and the world. The challenges facing Coca-Cola today are a microcosm of the larger struggles confronting American manufacturing and multinational corporations. The story is no longer just about selling soda, it is about tariffs, supply chains, environmental sustainability, and the future of American jobs. As the company grapples with these issues, its choices will have far-reaching implications, not only for its own bottom line, but for the countless other businesses that look to it as a bellwether. The question is no longer just about what is inside the can, but about the can itself, and what its changing nature says about the future of an American legend. The modern global economy is a complex network of interconnected supply chains, where raw materials cross multiple borders before becoming a finished product. For a company like Coca-Cola, this system has long been the key to efficiency and affordability. However, recent shifts in United States trade policy have introduced a significant disruption. The implementation of a 25% tariff on imported aluminum and a 10% tariff on steel has directly impacted the cost of producing Coca-Cola's most iconic packaging, the aluminum can. Suddenly, a core component of the company's business model became substantially more expensive, creating a financial pressure that could not be ignored by executives in Atlanta. Aluminum is the primary material used for the billions of cans that Coca-Cola fills and distributes each year. While the United States does produce aluminum, it does not produce enough to meet the massive demand from its own industries. As a result, companies like Coca-Cola rely heavily on imports from countries like Canada, China, and Bahrain to fill the gap. The tariffs, designed to protect and stimulate domestic metal productions, had the immediate and unavoidable effect of raising the price of this essential raw material. This increase was not a minor adjustment. It represented a multi-million-dollar surge in operational costs for the beverage giant, a bitter pill for a company famous for its sweet products. This cost increase presented Coca-Cola with a difficult set of choices. The company could absorb the higher costs, which would eat into its profit margins and potentially disappoint shareholders who expect consistent financial performance. Alternatively, it could pass the increased costs directly onto consumers by raising the price of a can of Coke. This option carried its own significant risks. as higher prices could deter loyal customers and make competing products seem more attractive. In a highly competitive beverage market, even a small price hike can lead to a noticeable drop in sales volume, threatening the brand's market share and its reputation for being an accessible treat for everyone. Ultimately, the tariff squeeze forced Coca-Cola to re-evaluate its long-standing reliance on aluminum. The economic logic that had made the aluminum can a staple for decades was suddenly being called into question. The tariffs did not just add a line item to an expense report. They fundamentally altered the financial equation for one of the world's most recognizable products. This external pressure became a catalyst for internal change, pushing the company to explore alternatives and reconsider its packaging strategy in ways it might not have otherwise. The simple, shiny aluminum can had become a symbol of a complex and costly trade dispute. Faced with the escalating cost of aluminum, Coca-Cola's leadership began to seriously explore a strategic pivot in its packaging. The most immediate and viable alternative was to increase its reliance on plastic bottles, specifically those made from polyethylene terephthalate, or PET. For years, Coca-Cola has offered its products in both cans and plastic bottles, but the economic calculus was shifting decidedly in favor of plastic. PET was not subject to the same tariffs that were inflating the price of aluminum, making it a more financially stable and predictable option for the company. This consideration was not a minor tweak, but a potential large-scale strategic shift in how the company delivers its products to consumers. The rationale behind this potential switch was driven by straightforward economics. Every fraction of a cent saved on a single unit adds up to millions of dollars in savings, when multiplied by the billions of beverages Coca-Cola sells annually. By moving a larger portion of its production from aluminum cans to PET bottles, the company could mitigate the financial damage caused by the tariffs and protect its profit margins. This would also allow Coca-Cola to maintain stable pricing for consumers, avoiding the potential backlash and loss of market share that could come from raising the price of a 12-pack of canned soda. It was a pragmatic business decision designed to navigate a challenging economic environment. This move, however, was not without its own set of complexities and trade-offs. The aluminum can has several advantages that have made it a consumer favorite for decades. Cans are known for chilling faster, providing a distinctively crisp taste, and being infinitely recyclable. They are also opaque, which protects the beverage from light and helps preserve its flavor over time. Shifting to plastic would mean moving away from these perceived benefits. The company had to weigh the immediate financial relief offered by plastic against the potential for a subtle but significant change in the consumer experience that has been cultivated and perfected over many years. Furthermore, such a shift required a massive operational adjustment. Production lines configured for canning would need to be retooled or replaced with bottling equipment. Supply chain logistics, from sourcing raw plastic resin to redesigning packaging and shipping configurations, would have to be completely overhauled. It was a monumental undertaking that highlighted the difficult position the company was in. The decision to consider moving away from the iconic can was a direct response to government policy, illustrating how actions taken in Washington, D.C. can ripple through corporate boardrooms and fundamentally change the physical form of a product sitting on a grocery store shelf. While a shift to plastic bottles might solve Coca-Cola's immediate financial problem with tariffs, it would create a significant new one in the court of public opinion and environmental stewardship. In recent years, global awareness of plastic pollution has skyrocketed. Images of oceans choked with plastic waste and marine life entangled in debris have sparked a powerful anti-plastic movement among consumers, activists and governments. For a brand like Coca-Cola, which is already one of the world's largest producers of plastic packaging, deliberately increasing its reliance on plastic would be a move fraught with reputational risk. It would appear to be a step backward at a time when the world is demanding progress on environmental issues. Aluminum cans, in contrast, are often lauded as a more sustainable packaging option. They are made from a material that is 100% and infinitely recyclable, meaning an old can can be melted down and turned into a new can over and over again with no loss of quality. In fact, nearly 75% of all aluminum ever produced is still in use today. The recycling process for aluminum is also highly efficient, using about 95% less energy than producing new aluminum from raw bauxite ore. This strong environmental profile makes the aluminum can a preferred choice for many eco-conscious consumers, a fact that Coca-Cola could not afford to ignore. In response to these growing environmental pressures, Coca-Cola has publicly committed to ambitious sustainability goals under its World Without Waste initiative. The company has pledged to make its packaging 100% recyclable globally by 2025, and to collect and recycle a bottle or can for everyone it sells by 2030. It is also investing heavily in using more recycled material in its plastic bottles, aiming for an average of 50% recycled content. A strategic shift away from highly recyclable aluminum toward more plastic, even recycled plastic, could be seen as contradictory to these public commitments, creating a narrative of a company saying one thing while its economic decisions force it to do another. This dilemma places Coca-Cola in a classic corporate bind, caught between financial pressures and its environmental responsibilities. Opting for plastic to avoid tariffs could save money in the short term, but damage its brand image and alienate a growing segment of its customer base in the long term. Sticking with more expensive aluminum would uphold its environmental credibility but hurt its financial performance. The company's response has been a delicate balancing act, investing in plastic recycling technology and lightweighting its bottles while simultaneously navigating the tariff-induced costs of aluminum, hoping to find a middle ground that satisfies both shareholders and stakeholders. The combined pressures of tariffs, changing consumer habits, and the need for greater efficiency have, really forced Coca-Cola to undertake a significant restructuring of its operational footprint in the United States. This strategic overhaul has involved making some pretty tough decisions about which facilities to keep, which to close, and where to invest for the future. As part of this process, the company has announced the closure of several older, less efficient production and distribution plants across the country. These closures are often, painful for the local communities that have relied on the steady employment and economic activity provided by the beverage giant for decades. One of the key drivers behind this consolidation is the need to modernize and streamline operations. Many of the shuttered plants were aging facilities that just weren't equipped for the flexible manufacturing required in today's fast-changing market. Instead of maintaining numerous smaller plants, Coca-Cola is shifting towards a model of larger, more technologically advanced mega campuses. This strategy allows the company to centralize production, improve logistical efficiency, and deploy cutting-edge automation and data analytics to optimize every step of the manufacturing process. While this approach leads to job losses in some regions, the company argues it is essential for long-term competitiveness and survival. A prime example of this new investment strategy is the development of a state-of-the-art campus in Birmingham, Alabama. Coca-Cola United, one of the company's largest bottlers, has invested hundreds of millions of dollars to create a consolidated headquarters and distribution center. This new facility is not just a replacement for older ones, it is a vision of the future of beverage production. It features advanced robotics, high-speed bottling and canning lines that can be quickly adapted for different products and package sizes, and a sophisticated logistics system designed to serve a vast regional market more effectively. This investment signals a commitment to building a more resilient and efficient American manufacturing base. This dual strategy of closing old plants while building new, advanced ones reflects a broader trend in American manufacturing. Companies are moving away from the dispersed, labor-intensive models of the 20th century and embracing centralized, technology-driven hubs. For Coca-Cola, this means outsourcing some functions, like long-haul distribution, to third-party specialists while focusing its own capital on core production and innovation. It is a painful but pragmatic evolution, designed to create a leaner, more agile company capable of weathering economic storms like tariffs and responding swiftly to the ever-changing tastes of the modern consumer. The The strategic restructuring undertaken by Coca-Cola, while logical from a business perspective, has a very real and immediate human impact. The closure of production plants and distribution centres inevitably leads to job losses, often in smaller towns and communities where the Coca-Cola facility was a major employer and a source of stable middle-class jobs. For the workers affected, the loss of a job is more than just a loss of income. It can mean the loss of identity, community, and a sense of security that may have spanned generations within a single family. These layoffs are a painful consequence of the company's effort to adapt to new economic realities. The stories from these communities often follow a similar pattern. A plant that has been in operation for over 50 years announces it will be shutting its doors, leaving hundreds of dedicated employees to face an uncertain future. These are not just statistics on a corporate balance sheet. They are individuals with mortgages to pay, families to support, and skills that may be specific to a now obsolete manufacturing process. The ripple effect extends beyond the factory gates, affecting local businesses, school funding, and the overall economic vitality of the region. This is the difficult human side of corporate consolidation and the hidden cost of global trade disputes. However, the story is not solely one of loss. As Coca-Cola closes older facilities, it is also creating new jobs in the locations where it is investing heavily, such as the new campus in Birmingham, Alabama. These new roles, however, often require a different set of skills than the jobs they are replacing. The modern beverage plant is a high-tech environment that demands proficiency in robotics, data analysis, and advanced logistics management. The company is investing in training programs to help upskill the workforce, but there is often a mismatch between the skills of displaced workers and the requirements of these new, more technical positions. This dynamic creates a complex employment landscape of both loss and opportunity. While new jobs are being created, they are not always in the same geographic areas or accessible to the same people who lost their old ones. This results in a geographic redistribution of economic prosperity, benefiting some regions while leaving others behind. The experience of Coca-Cola's workforce mirrors a larger trend in the American economy, where the transition to a more automated and technology-driven industrial base creates both winners and losers, challenging the traditional promise of long-term stable employment that was once a hallmark of working for a major American corporation. Thus, Coca-Cola's struggle with aluminum tariffs serves as a powerful case study in the immense complexity of modern global supply chains. For a multinational corporation of its scale, the concept of a purely American product is largely a myth. The journey of a single can of Coke involves a dizzying array of international transactions. The bauxite ore for the aluminum might be mined in Australia, smelted into ingots in Iceland using hydroelectric power, rolled into thin sheets in Germany, and then finally shipped to the United States to be formed into a can, which is then filled with a beverage made from ingredients sourced from dozens of different countries. This intricate global web was built over decades with a singular goal: to maximize efficiency and minimize cost. By sourcing materials and labor from wherever they are cheapest and best, companies like Coca-Cola have been able to keep their products affordable for consumers worldwide while delivering consistent returns to shareholders. US trade policies such as the 25% tariff on aluminum throw a wrench into this finely tuned machine. They introduce an artificial cost barrier that disrupts the flow of goods and force a complete re-evaluation of these long-established supply routes, creating uncertainty and volatility where there was once predictability. The challenge for Coca-Cola and other multinational giants is that they cannot simply flip a switch and reshore their entire supply chain back to the United States. The domestic capacity to produce certain materials, like the specific grade of aluminum sheet used for beverage cans, may not exist at the scale required. Rebuilding that industrial capacity would take years of massive investment and would likely result in a permanently higher cost base. Therefore, companies are forced into a complicated dance of absorbing some costs, passing others to consumers, shifting production to different countries, and lobbying governments for exemptions and policy changes. This situation highlights the inherent tension between nationalist economic policies and the globalized nature of modern business. While tariffs may be intended to protect domestic industries and jobs, they can have unintended consequences for the very American companies they are meant to help. For a brand like Coca-Cola, which operates in over 200 countries, navigating these choppy geopolitical waters is now a critical part of its business strategy. Its success no longer depends just on marketing and flavor, but on its ability to manage a complex, fragile, and increasingly politicized global supply chain in a world where the rules of trade can change overnight. The choices Coca-Cola makes in response to these economic pressures do more than just affect its bottom line. They strike at the very heart of its brand identity. For over a century, Coca-Cola has meticulously crafted an image of itself as an authentic all-American product. From Norman Rockwell paintings to the iconic "I'd like to buy the world a Coke" advertisement, the brand has positioned itself as a symbol of unity, happiness, and the American way of life. The classic aluminum can and glass bottle are central to this nostalgic and powerful image, representing consistency and tradition in a rapidly changing world. The potential large-scale shift from the beloved can to the more economically viable but environmentally controversial plastic bottle represents a break from this tradition. It forces the company to confront a difficult question. What does it mean to be an American brand today? Is it about holding on to traditional packaging and manufacturing processes, even if they become financially unsustainable? Or is it about adapting, innovating, and making pragmatic decisions to ensure the company's survival and continued success, even if that means altering a core piece of its physical identity? This is the identity crisis that tariffs and global economics have forced upon the brand. This dilemma is further complicated by the company's simultaneous consolidation of its U.S. manufacturing footprint. While the investment in high-tech hubs like the one in Birmingham can be framed as a commitment to the future of American manufacturing, the closure of older plants and the associated job losses can be perceived as the company turning its back on the very communities that helped build its empire. This creates a conflicting narrative. Is Coca-Cola a loyal American employer investing in the nation's future? Or is it a faceless multinational corporation prioritizing efficiency and profits over people and tradition? Ultimately, Coca-Cola's journey reflects a redefinition of what it means to be an American icon in the 21st century. The brand's soul is being tested, caught between its nostalgic past and a pragmatic future. Its identity is no longer solely defined by classic advertising and cultural ubiquity, but also by its responses to complex global issues like trade policy, environmental sustainability, and the evolution of the American workforce. How the company navigates this path, balancing its heritage with the demands of a modern global economy, will determine how future generations perceive this quintessential American brand. The story of Coca-Cola's response to aluminum tariffs is far more than an internal corporate drama. It is a bellwether for the future of American manufacturing and the identity of its most iconic brands. The challenges faced by the beverage giant, rising material costs due to trade policy, the tension between economic and environmental priorities, and the painful process of operational restructuring are not unique. They are being experienced in boardrooms and on factory floors across the country, from automakers dealing with steel tariffs to tech companies navigating complex international supply chains for their components. Coca-Cola's experience offers a clear and compelling preview of the difficult choices that lie ahead for many. The central conflict highlighted by this situation is the clash between the political goal of protecting domestic industry through tariffs and the economic reality of globally integrated supply chains. The case of Coca-Cola demonstrates that these two forces are often at odds. Policies designed to help American metal producers can inadvertently harm other major American manufacturers, forcing them into costly adjustments that can lead to higher consumer prices, job relocations, and difficult compromises on environmental sustainability. This raises critical questions about the long-term effectiveness and unintended consequences of such protectionist measures. Furthermore, Coca-Cola's journey forces a national conversation about what we expect from our legacy brands. Do we want them to remain frozen in time, preserving the jobs and production methods of the past, even if it makes them uncompetitive on a global scale? Or do we expect them to innovate and adapt, embracing automation and strategic consolidation to ensure their survival, even if it means painful dislocations for some workers and communities? The path Coca-Cola is taking, with its dual strategy of closing old plants and investing in new high-tech hubs, suggests that the future of American industry lies in the latter approach, a leaner, more technologically advanced, and perhaps less sentimental model of manufacturing. The final question, then, is what this means for the American dream that brands like Coca-Cola have so long symbolized. If the path to success for a quintessential American company involves navigating global trade disputes, shifting away from iconic packaging, and replacing traditional jobs with automated systems, it suggests a profound evolution in the nature of American capitalism. The story of Coca-Cola and the can is a warning and a roadmap. It shows that in today's interconnected world, no brand is an island. The survival and success of American industry will depend on its ability to balance heritage with innovation, national identity with global reality, and tradition with the relentless pursuit of efficiency.